Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed the previous keynote, Why Data Cloud, Why Now? Our next session is Enriching Account Information with Trifacta and Dun Bradstreet on the AWS Data Exchange. This session highlights a new collaboration between Dun Bradstreet, Trifacta, and the AWS Data Exchange. Trifacta's own Vijay, who's the Director of Partner Solution Architect, will walk through a demo of how to use all three of these technologies together and use Dun & Bradstreet's famous Dun's number to enrich data. We're also going to hear from Ryan Rolf from the AWS Data Exchange. But to kick us off, to tell us more about Dun & Bradstreet, let me introduce Jay Daly, Partner Data Strategy at Dun & Bradstreet. Jay?
Okay, thank you, Matt. Appreciate the introduction. Thrilled to be here today with our partners at AWS and Trifacta. And for those of you that aren't aware who Dun & Bradstreet is, we're a company that's been around for 170 years and primarily involved in the collection and dissemination of business information. So just at a very high level, our database is global in terms of coverage. The starting point is tens of thousands of pieces of sources of information that we've got globally. And we bring all that information into Dun & Bradstreet through an AI-powered matching engine. This actually takes all the global data sources, brings them in, and allows us to create a database in the end of unique businesses that do not have duplication. All of the information is stored within one record, and that record is keyed by a D&B DUNS number, which is a 9-digit non-indicative number, which is the equivalent of a social security number for an individual on a business location. So the actual database itself, as of today, covers over 450 million businesses globally, covering the majority of the ADP. Updates are continuously happening, as you can imagine. And then again, the end result is providing analytics insights to businesses so that they can better manage their information and connecting that information into their various systems of record. So another quick summary on the quality of the information. Again, we're driving for the best coverage, both in terms of global as well as large businesses and small businesses. One of the things you'll note is the hierarchy linkages information that we've got available. And right now there's slightly over 2,500 attributes that are available on an individual business. As I said, change is inevitable. So one of the things we want to make sure we do on our side is continually monitor that all of those inputs, right, for changes to the business universe, and make sure we capture them so that the information we're passing on to our customers is the most current available. And that's all done through continuous business activity monitoring, change detection, verification and updates, and both on an ongoing basis. So just kind of in summary, again, we are considered one of the world's most ethical companies. We provide data around the globe. Again, a very strong team who have been with Dun & Bradstreet, have a lot of years, myself being probably one of the longest. And it's a very security conscious company in terms of the data that we deal with. So in summary, what we're going to see today as a demonstration from Vijay is a customer who's already used Dun & Bradstreet's identity resolution to get that DUNS number onto their business records in CRM, and then using our partners at AWS and the data marketplace to be able to bring in that high quality information and enrich your CRM records with that information. So back to you, Matt.
Thank you so much, Jay. Thanks for taking us through Dun & Bradstreet. And now we are going to hear from Ryan Rolf, who he's got to be very important because he's got a very long title. So I assume that means he's of the utmost importance. So we're very glad he's here with us today. But Ryan Rolf is the Channel Program Leader and Senior Business Development Manager at the AWS Data Exchange. And he's going to walk us through a little bit more of how to subscribe to data on the AWS Data Exchange and what that's all about. So Ryan, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Matt. And hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Rolf, and I lead channel programs and partnerships for AWS Data Exchange, which primarily includes working across our AWS consulting partners and technology ISVs. I'm excited to discuss our work today with great partners such as Dun Bradstreet and Trifacta and highlight key data use cases that we solve together. First, a little bit of background on AWS Data Exchange. We know one of the main challenges with respect to data in any organization is data preparation. And we'll show great examples of solving that on later in this presentation. However, before the data is even ready to prep, there's another fundamental challenge that exists with data today, which is a central place where data subscribers and providers can easily and seamlessly access third-party data to help make strategic decisions. Third-party data continues to grow in importance and relevance with AWS customers, as evidenced by the demand for data to address the COVID-19 pandemic, the US elections, and weather events where businesses simply do not own and possess all of the data within their organization to make effective strategic decisions. Furthermore, there is often an immense time pressure to make these decisions quickly. So discovering and licensing data quickly is an imperative. And even if you did find the right data that you need from a data provider who wants to license it to you, you may spend weeks building bespoke IT capabilities to integrate and process the data into your applications because every data provider does it just a little bit differently. We have a lot of customers who are still shipping physical media to each other, managing dozens or even hundreds of different FTP credentials, or many of which come with their own security and reliability challenges. And even APIs, which many think is the modern way of transferring data, require the receiver to understand and manage the nuances of different API credentials and endpoints to merge it all together into their existing systems. So it's pretty difficult on the subscriber side. And providers have the same challenges just in reverse. So all of the plumbing that they need to build to and maintain to serve their customers, storing the data, delivering it through various different channels, billing for it, and understanding how customers acquire their data isn't really a competitive differentiator. It's the cost of doing business. And many providers who do this today have asked us for a more efficient way to serve their customers at scale. And that is where AWS Data Exchange comes in. And we were created in response to many of these customer frustrations around the entire data process and work to make it easy for AWS customers to find, subscribe to, and use third-party data in the cloud. In just a few minutes, anyone can find more than 3,000 data products from over 200 different qualified data providers and growing, and includes thousands of free data sets. We currently have a strong selection of data across financial services, healthcare and life sciences, retail, aggregated consumer data, and a lot more. And a key part of our approach is integrating with partner platforms where clients might be working on complementary data workflows, such as Trifacta, that helps get third-party data as close to the end users as possible in the tools that they're already working within, such as prepping, ETLing, or visualizing that data, and not having to go through multiple additional steps to leave these tools, go out and find data, and deal with bringing the data back in. And so our goal is to really work with our partners to create a seamless and native experience to rapidly and quickly access third-party data and have that all maintained and easily accessed from both their own AWS account and information on billing, as well as getting right to the work that they want to do with our partners. So we're incredibly excited to be here and to work with all of our great partners, such as Trifacta and Dun Bradstreet, and really excited for the presentation coming up.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for showing us more about the AWS Data Exchange. All right, now we've seen Dun & Bradstreet and what they offer, as well as how you access third-party data on the AWS Data Exchange. So now we're going to bring everything together, and I'm going to introduce the star of the show, Vijay, Director of Partner Solutions Architect at Trifacta, and he's going to walk us through how you access the Dun & Bradstreet data on the AWS Data Exchange and then bring that into Trifacta to enrich it with your own customer data. So without further ado, everybody, let's give a warm welcome to Vijay.
Hello, everyone. In today's demo, I will walk you through an end-to-end example of how to access a DNB dataset from the AWS Data Exchange and how to use Trifacta to wrangle it and derive business insights. Imagine you are the VP of marketing for a fast-growing fintech startup. Your amazing product is finally ready, and you want to create some excitement around the product launch. You decide that the best way to create this excitement is to organize an executive roundtable event. In this event, you will invite senior executives from the top securities brokerages in the nation. You decide to take a data-driven approach. Your company uses a CRM system which tracks a list of customers and prospects. Using this as a starting point, your objective is to come up with an invitation list that includes the most influential executives from companies in your target market. We begin this process by heading over to the AWS Data Exchange. This is where you can find high-quality data sets from providers such as Dun Bradstreet. I'm going to start this process by heading over to the menu and choosing Browse Catalog. In here, you can enter various search terms. I'm going to search for Dun Bradstreet. And this gives me a large number of data sets that I can choose from. For the purposes of this, I've already subscribed to a couple of data sets, which I can access from my subscriptions view. And the one I'm going to use for this demo is going to be the securities data packet. Since we have already subscribed to the data set, we can now head over to Trifacta's AWS Data Exchange import data utility. And here you can pick the data set you wish to import. I'm going to go with the securities brokerage industry marketing file. In the revisions dropdown, I can pick the latest revision. And for the S3 bucket, I'm going to go with the Trifacta S3 files bucket. Now, if I click on download to S3, this data will get downloaded to my S3 bucket. And note this path. I'm going to copy this to my clipboard. And I can now head over to the Trifacta Workspace. And in here, I have already created a data set that is pointed to the same path that we downloaded the data to. In addition to this, we have a couple of additional data sources. There is some CRM data from our customer relationship management system that has been downloaded into Redshift, and that's this icon over here. And then the third data set we have is a sales territory spreadsheet. And this is actually an Excel file, which looks something like this. It's just basically a mapping of the state names to the sales rep that is associated with each state. So this is these are the three data sets that we are going to be working with and combining this to produce some outputs. The CRM account table has already gone through Dun Bradstreet's matching algorithm. And if you look at the data preview, you'll notice that against each CRM account ID, there is a DUNS number associated with it. I'm now going to go into the DNB securities brokerage file and edit the recipe against it. And if you look at the recipe steps, one of the steps we are performing here is a join, where we are combining the CRM account data with the data from the data exchange using the DUNS number as the join key. Now, there are a set of transformations we'll need to perform to this data to get it to the shape that we want. In order to define what that end state is, Trifacta allows you to define data quality rules. So here, I just switched over to the data quality rules tab and notice that there are a number of conditions that have been declared of what constitutes clean data. So for example, conditions like DUNS number should not be missing. There's actually one that says that the type must be prospect, right? So we want to make sure that we only invite prospects and not customers. So that's why we have this constraint in here. Now, the nice thing is this allows you to declare these constraints and then define recipe steps to make your data fit those constraints. So that's what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to that step in the recipe and look for my type field. And in here, you can see that there's prospects as well as customers. We only want to keep the prospects. So I can choose that from the value histogram. Notice that we get a suggestion to keep the rows where type equal to prospect. I can click on add, and that adds a step to my recipe, which is now filtered on just the prospects. Now, in a similar vein, I can apply some additional transformations. The next one we are going to do is in the city field, we want to actually combine Jersey City and New York into one category. So that's what we'll be doing here. So I'm going to look for the city name. I'm going to edit the city name using a formula. And what this formula is doing is it's basically an if condition, which says that if the city name is either New York or Jersey City, we want to actually combine them into a New York area. Otherwise, it'll just leave it alone. So as you can see, New York is being replaced by New York area, and the same would be the case for Jersey City. Now, the next thing we'll do is we will clean up the columns. There's actually a lot of columns, there's 89 of them. We don't need so many columns, so we will only keep the ones that we want. And this is going to be our delete columns step, where we specify the columns we want to keep and delete everything else. Now, the sales volume field actually needs to be formatted. So I'm going to go to that. It's currently showing up as a string field, which is not correct. So we want to change that to be a decimal. And we also want to format it so that it looks proper. So that takes care of the number format. And the next thing we'll do is we want to segment the companies. So for the roundtable, we have different market segments such as small business, mid-market, and enterprise. And those are driven by sales volume. So I'm going to add a step that will basically create those segments using a conditional formula. So that basically gives you the 3 segments that we're interested in. And now the final step is to actually pull in the sales rep that is associated with each account. Actually, the sales reps are allocated by state. So what we're going to do here is we will find the state field. And using the state code, we will perform a lookup. And we will now access the Excel spreadsheet that we had uploaded that has the mapping that goes from the state code to the actual rep name. We will use the state as the lookup key. And what this will do is this will insert another column into our data set, which will contain the rep name. There we go. So we now have that. So at this point, we should have all the information we need in order to create our invitation list for the executive roundtable. If I head over to the data quality rules, you'll see that it looks a lot cleaner. So a lot of the rules are now being met. And I can click on run job to execute this to produce the outputs. Now, what this flow is doing is it's basically writing out to a Redshift table that contains the final invitation lists and all the details that we care about. If you go to job history, you'll see details of the job execution are available here. So every time you run a job in Trifacta, it generates a detailed profile of the outputs. So it gives you timestamps of when things ran, as well as a detailed profile of the data that was outputted, as well as an evaluation of all the data quality rules that were applied for that job. So with this, we now have an output data set in Redshift that we can now use to drive our marketing campaigns as well as our executive roundtable. With that, I will pass it back to Matt for the Q&A.
All right. Thank you very much, Vijay. That was great. Thanks for walking us through that. If you have questions, please join us in the Q&A room. Just click the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we will see you over there. Following the Q&A, we'll have a sponsor break. So thank you very much.